Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
This week, our episode highlights one of the organizations that plays a key role in education, UNESCO. Motivated by its mission to build peace, eradicate poverty, and maintain global sustainable development, UNESCO has set a range of objectives. One of them is quality education for all. Africa is one of UNESCO's global priorities. The organization's statistics show that nearly a quarter of its 383 programs are already operating there. We head off to Mozambique to find out how UNESCO's original initiative there, Families Without Illiteracy, trains young learners to teach their own families how to read and write.
4 times a week, 14-year-old Janito Anontio gives his family lessons in Portuguese and maths. They're taking part in the Families Without Illiteracy programme, which trains children to teach their families the 3 R's. Illiteracy in Mozambique has dropped from 90% to just under 50% today.
I like what I'm doing now, teaching my parents to count and to read the letters of the alphabet. With it comes general knowledge and understanding, knowledge of health issues, agriculture, culture, political issues. All this comes with literacy. It really is an urgent need.
These students have come from all over the area to brush up on their lesson planning. The Families Without Illiteracy programme works because it fits into local culture.
Having their children as a teacher gives them confidence. They see that they send their children to school, and now they're coming back to help them, to teach them.
The UNESCO Families Without Illiteracy programme started in 2003 and was immediately picked up by the government.
Not having the funds to train literacy teachers, not having the funds to set up programs. So by developing linkages between the school and community, and especially between the learners and their own family, you find another motivation there.
Basic literacy means being able to participate in the local economy. These days, Janito's father can calculate his potential profits, and he can hold his own at the market.
Before my son taught me, I didn't know how to count or measure kilos. They cheated at the market and took more than they paid for. But not now.
So the scheme is working. Clearly, the family that studies together stays together.
We also speak to the Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bukova, in Paris to learn more about the organization's work in education.
UNESCO is leading the global movement for education for all. You've set yourself a lofty target, providing basic quality education from children through to adults by 2015. Is this really achievable?
We have seen an enormous progress, and we have to admit that. But still the challenge is in the quality of education. Now the question is not only basic primary education enrollment, but also quality education. It's a question of equity, of education for both boys and girls. And the big, of course, question is literacy.
We've noticed in Learning World that a lot of the brightest and most innovative ideas aren't actually coming from governments. They seem to be coming from the private sector, in fact. So do you think it's time to stop relying on governments?
No, I believe that governments have still the primary responsibility for educating their people. And when I say this, I can give many examples where good government policies have brought a real change. And we see an effort in Bangladesh. I always give this example with the enrollment of girls in schools, where the right government policies already have achieved a parity of boys and girls in schools.
You mentioned Bangladesh and female access to education, but there's still a huge disparity worldwide. You're the first female head of UNESCO. Is that an issue that's particularly dear to your heart?
Well, yes, it's very dear to my heart. All scientific data, all statistic shows that if we have improvement in education, especially in secondary education for girls, there is, by times, I would say, improvement in poverty reduction, especially in the health in children. Early marriages are also dropping down. Their potential to be involved also in economic activity. Their children go to school. So it's an immense change when we see girls' enrollment in primary, but especially in secondary education.
To conclude, we return to Africa and Senegal, where fishing is the most important economic activity. UNESCO has chosen to help fisherwomen to develop their professional skills by offering them literacy classes and teaching them fish packaging and preservation techniques to improve their business. This report looks at the fisherwomen on the beach at Pointe Sarène.
These women in Senegal buy fish and shellfish straight from the fishing boats, wash them, dry them, and sell them for a living. But their lives have changed in the last 3 years.
Before, when we were working on the beach, we knew nothing. We put the fish and the shellfish on the sand without a bowl or a stand, but we taught ourselves to do better. No one trained us.
Since 2007, UNESCO and the Senegalese Ministries for Education and Fisheries have been running training courses for these women. The aim was not only to teach the 3 R's, but also to improve hygiene, packaging and storing of the fish in order to increase profits.
We have tried to use both outside help and local expertise to set up this education strategy, so that today this education strategy means these women are using new technology and financial tools independently.
Earning around 20 to 30 euros a month, it's not easy for these women to feed a family of up to a dozen people. Keeping track of their expenses helps them plan their daily lives. They write everything down in a notebook.
We have learned to read and write, so we know what we owe, what we have made, and what we can take home to feed our families. Before, we worked without knowing what we were earning. We didn't know how much money was coming in or going out. But now we know.
But that's not all. Most of these women already have children, and now they want to set up a creche for them near the beach. It's a plan for the future, but it shows what happens when people learn to read.
If you have enjoyed our program and you would like to watch it or any other episodes again, you can find us online at euronews.net/learningworld. This week you can also watch more of the interview with Irina Bukova on the English version of our website. And don't forget, we will be back next week with more inspiring stories from the world of education.
Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.